All right, so now we're getting into camera operating, very important part of the broadcast. Physically, maybe the hardest job in the TV truck. Very important job. It's, if you can be a camera operator, I think that's where the great starting point is for anybody. Quote from Pete Rosas, who was the head of the production for the 2004 Olympics: "One camera is all you need." But bottom line is one camera. There's more than just the 5 cameras you see listed here. But for basic productions, these are the 5 everybody kind of worries about, and kind of the 5 you need for just any basic type of good broadcast. Starting with the build-up camera, the hard camera or the fixed camera. These are generally large, heavy cameras, the big kinds. And, an alternative is to put a handheld and build it using a monitor, zoom, and focus, and a tripod. This is your basic hard camera, what it looks like. And I'm sure you've seen these at every sporting event you've ever been to, if you've paid attention. A handheld camera, pretty self-explanatory. Generally, it's cabled. It looks like that. It sits under the baseline at a basketball game. Baseball, not used so much. Football, of course, on the sidelines, etc. Spy camera is an LPS camera. It's solely used for production room purposes, not used on air. LPS definitely stands for a little piece of you know what. In some cases, it's referred to as a snoop camera. Basically, it shoots the scoreboard so that you have a video shot of the scoreboard in the arena, so that on your monitor wall in the TV truck, not only do you see all your cameras, but you can always look at the scoreboard, because that's a very vital part of any production, is the scoreboard. Don't confuse the term fixed camera with spy camera. A lot of classes have done that in the past. A spy camera is never used on air. It's just basically to spy on the scoreboard. So a build-up camera, a hard camera, a fixed camera are all basically the same thing. Keep that in mind. An ENG camera stands for electronic news gathering. It's a portable camera for pre and post production and editing purposes. It's not connected to the mobile unit. Basically, a great example of this is when a WV football game is on TV. They often show a shot of the pregame man trip. The TV truck parks underneath the press box. The man trip happens on the other side of the stadium. So that camera, you don't want to run 3,000 feet of cable. So they get just a regular ENG camera, go out, shoot it, bring the footage back to the truck, and then edit it for playback. It's great for doing campus scenics and stuff like that. A lot of times, TV shows, when they come in the day before, will take their ENG camera and go out and shoot scenics of the city they're in, campus buildings, monuments, stuff like that, and then that way they have stuff to use for their production. Wireless camera is basically the same thing as a handheld camera, but without the cabling. It utilizes wireless transmitter and receiver systems, as well as wireless communication. Jib camera, and you may have seen this at Mountaineer Field. It's usually the camera with a long crane arm, counterweights on the other end. It shoots the student section. Kind of looks like that. It does look like that. And as you can see, that image was not paid for. A Skycam, a computer-controlled cable-suspended camera system. We watched this in the video the first week. They had a Skycam at that football game. It looks like that. Let me go back here. The advanced version is a spider camera. It's well advanced and can get to places faster and do more things, but it's still called a Skycam. Other cameras, cart camera. You may have seen this on the sidelines at a football game. It's basically a camera up on a cart, and it's basically the image I showed a few seconds ago. We'll go back to that. You can see, you can't really tell, but it is on a cart. A net camera for volleyball purposes, a little robotic or static camera placed inside a goal or on a volleyball net to get those nice close-up net shot views. Of course, a RoboCam, small-mounted cameras that are controlled remotely, often called Fletchers because of the company that created them. Terminology, very important when it comes to working a camera. Tilt up, tilt down, zoom in, zoom out, pan left, pan right, rack your focus, adjust your focus, fix your focus is rack. Frame up, which means watch your headroom. Horizon for handheld camera. If you're holding a handheld camera and it's crooked, a director will say, watch your horizon. It's crooked. And in places where you don't have a video operator, iris up, iris down because the shot is too dark or too bright. Boost your iris or bring your iris down if it's overexposed. Of course, a white balance. to make sure that your colors are all correct. Now, the viewfinder is the eyepiece to see the action in any camera. It's called a monitor if you're using a build-up, but at the same time, it's also the viewfinder. So if you have a problem, you would say to an EIC, even if you're on a hard camera or a handheld, my viewfinder's not working, stuff like that. It's still referred to as a viewfinder no matter what kind of camera you're working on. The diopter is the mechanism used to adjust the focus of the viewfinder if you're holding a handheld camera. The tally light is a red light that appears in your viewfinder that indicates your camera is live, and that should be highlighted in red, by the way. A filter wheel is a four-sided wheel used to cut the light from your lens, based on if you're inside or outside, or how bright it might be outside. The servo is the extension for your zoom and your focus, what you would hook those up to. And of course, auto or manual iris. If the lens is an auto iris, it will automatically adjust to the proper light setting or as best as possible. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Most times it does. A good camera operator has a good work ethic, so be on time, be eager to work, set up correctly, treat equipment with utmost care, secure all your cabling, assist your coworkers, and ensure good communication. And that's 7 points that you should know to be a good camera operator. Anything else, anything less than these 7 points, you're offending somebody, guaranteed. During a show, you should know your sport. You should know your participants, just like the director. You should also stay within a director's parameters. And a good example of this is if you are to just isolate on one wide receiver at a football game, or let's say your job is to shoot the gymnast competing on the floor exercise, don't go shooting the vault exercise when your assignment was the floor exercise. Those are parameters. Sell your director on shots often when there are no parameters, and when you're not live, sell your director some shots. Look around the venue, see what there is to show that might be of interest to the viewer at home, and a good director will find those shots and get them on air. Make sure your shot obviously is in focus. That's a no-brainer. Be in position and be on headsets. It's one thing to just say if the director says at the end of the camera meeting, okay, I want everybody in position 30 minutes before we start the game. You're not on headsets, you're kind of missing the point. And I say that only because this has happened many times. Anticipation, we've gone over that. And of course, expect the unexpected. Always expect the unexpected. Of course, during strike, just as important as setup, strike quickly but correctly. Do your job. Don't lose anything. Double check your area. If it's broken, you take responsibility. And of course, put it back the way you found it. When everything is brought back to the truck, if you will, it's using a football or a basketball game as an example, the engineer in charge goes through everything. He or she knows the equipment. It's his or her truck. So if it's not put back the way you found it, you're going to have a problem. When shooting, and it's a term, obviously, because you don't have helmets in every sports, but get inside the helmet. Your viewer wants to see the faces of the participants. Zoom in, get it focused, frame up, and get it quickly. And get there faster. When you aren't live and you have another shot coming, no perimeter, get there as fast as possible. Be like lightning in acquiring that shot. Finally, do the work. And no lie, it's hard labor. Being a camera operator, you have to be in good physical condition. A handheld camera weighs approximately 10 to 15 pounds. Wear clothing that is appropriate. In other words, it's a blue-collar job. Come ready to do a blue-collar task. It's outside, know the forecast. Prepare for all possibilities. And when I say prepare for all possibilities, bring things with you. Baseball's a great example. It's played outside. Cameras are all over the venue. Golf is another one. It's played outside. Things are all over the venue. Pack a bag. You're there. You're camping. You're there all day, especially with golf. Backpack should have water, snacks, jackets, stuff from rain, stuff like that. Prepare for all possibilities. Of course, bring gloves. Maybe the most important of all. Every camera operator should have a pair of gloves for various reasons. Make good choices before your event. Working hungover helps nobody, including, or most importantly, yourself. And like I said earlier, essentially, come prepared. You're camping. Be ready for everything, especially if you're outside. Okay, if you have any questions, text me, and good luck.